Hello and welcome to Serious About Rugby League. Today on the agenda we're going to predict the results of this week's Super League matches. Now, we return to Super League action after an eventful week of Challenge Cup fixtures, quite a few shocks in there. And we kick off on Thursday night with a wounded Leeds Rhinos side taking on Castleford Tigers, who were also knocked out of the Cup by Hull FC. We'll come to you firstly on this one, Mike. Which way are you going? Because we know that you're a Leeds fan, Ethan is a Castleford fan, so you're going to go your head or your heart, or both?
They need to bounce back really because of the injuries, because of how they've been playing, the lack of coaching, defensive structure. I'm going to have to go for Leeds by 4, I think.
Ethan?
It's tough really. Tough period. Lost 4 on the bounce. Obviously holding the Challenge Cup. Perhaps the worst performance I've seen this season. But I think the fans need to stick behind Powell. The rest of the players, I think we've gone through a bit of an injury crisis. We're getting some of those players back. Obviously, rumour has it we're losing Mitch Clark to Wigan next season perhaps, which would be a downfall for us, but I think we need to bounce back, put a bit more team effort in, and I'm going to go, I think we need to break down Leeds down a bit, so I'm going Cast by 6.
Yeah, well, I think Leeds' problems are quite evident. You target them down the middle and...
They're soft.
Yeah.
Yeah, really,
so
really soft.
I think it will be certainly an interesting game because two teams who are not on form. And just for you, where do you see Cass at the moment? Because I think this is the first time in a while that perhaps you're probably not among the top 3-4 teams. Obviously the injuries have contributed to that, but where do you see your team at the moment?
I see as being... We can certainly push for that top 5, but at the moment, with how the squad's playing, come the end of the season, I just don't think we'll be there. I think this is the first time we've had a really tough season under Dale Powell since he came in 6 years ago. I think we've been consistently at the top, and I think this season we've lacked emphasis going forward, and I think we just need to get back to normal ways, but I don't think we're going to make the top 4 at the end of the season.
Well, before we move on, guys, last week we had a forfeit between Ian and Jason. Jason lost, so he currently has a Hull FC badge as his profile picture. This week there's more on the line because we're going to do the same again, so the loser will set the opposing team's badge as their profile picture. And how would that go down with your Facebook friends, Mike, if you had a Castleford badge as your profile picture for a week?
Well, a few of them would finally say that I've gone to the dark side for good, I think. I don't think they'd be too bothered. Some of my friends and family might be a bit miffed, but I think I'll be alright.
Yeah, well...
Supporting the slightly better team for a week, anyhow.
Ooh, you sure you want to say that? We're recording.
It is what it is.
There you go, he's just admitted Castleford are the best team in West Yorkshire.
Well, I mean, the 6 points ahead of them, 7th place. Table doesn't lie, does it really? So...
Well, we'll move on now, guys. I think perhaps there's no surprise on what you've predicted for that one, but there's a few close matchups this week, and especially on Friday night at the John Smith Stadium when Huddersfield, who put in a great performance against St Helens in the Challenge Cup, host Hull KR themselves put in a brilliant showing to win at Salford to progress. I'll come to you firstly on this one, Ethan. Which way do you see it going?
It's going to be a close one. I think we've got 2 teams who are obviously struggling this season. Tim Sheens and Simon Wolford, both at Huddersfield, okay, I like, but I think it's going to be a tough one to predict this. Hull KR haven't been playing that well, and Huddersfield, as you said, did play well against Saints, but overall I think Huddersfield just have that edge, and I'm going to go Huddersfield by 6, changing my prediction that I put down originally, which was KR by 10.
That's quite a difference. 16-point swing there in 30 seconds. Mike, are you agreeing with Ethan on that one?
Judging by how Hull KR came back against Salford, they fixed up their weaknesses under the high ball to peg Salford back and get the win. Huddersfield did put a spirited showing in against Saints, but it was the cup. Anything happens in the cup. So I'm going KR by 8 on that one.
Interesting. Now, perhaps what you would feel would be a foregone conclusion. The other game on Friday night is St Helens against Salford. However, Salford actually went to Warrington over Easter and picked up a surprising win there. So, could they do the same at Saints, Mike? What do you think?
I don't think so, because it's all about Saints' attitude. When they played Catano in the season, the wrong attitude came away with a defeat. This time round, attitude right, they win easily. 24 points, I think.
Comfortable home win then.
Yeah.
Well, Saints were a bit scratchy. I mean, a lot of it were probably down to Huddersfield's performance, but I thought Saints were a bit scratchy in the cup, and they've been up there all season. Do you think they're maybe starting to drop off a bit?
Yeah, they're starting to drop off, but they've scored, I think, 20 points in every game except their one loss to Catalan earlier in the season, and I think that just shows how good Saints are in the division. I think, for me, it's Saints versus the rest of the league, really. I don't think anyone's going to catch them, and I think everyone said they're going to do the treble, and I think they could possibly do the treble.
Yeah, that's him.
But if anything, I think Salford could potentially pull off a shock, but I don't think they will. They're one of the sides that, as you said, managed to beat Warrington earlier. Ian Watson's done a really good job there, and I think if Salford can get some things right, they could do it, but I'm going to go Saints by a big margin of +20 once again.
So you're agreeing on that one.
Yeah.
It's actually no Sunday games this week. We move on to Saturday now. Wakefield travel to London, the place where they suffered quite a heavy defeat on the opening game of the season. Could a repeat of that happen? Could London win the first game in, don't know how many games, 8 or 9? They've lost in a row now. Is this the game they get back on track?
Yeah, I think London have done well in games this season, but they've not. They had a bit of early form, beating Leeds, Saints and Wigan, and got that wrong. They didn't beat Saints.
They almost beat Saints.
They almost beat Saints. So beat Wakefield, Leeds and Wigan, and I think since then they've struggled, but they've still been playing some good rugby league, and I think Danny Ward's done a good job with the squad that he's had.
Yeah.
Obviously, Jordan Abdul's going back to Hull KR next season, maybe even this season, who knows, but yeah, I think they will push Wakefield, but I think Wakefield just have that edge, and Chris Chester's done a good job there, third in the table, and I think Wakefield will edge it by 6.
Do you agree with that one, Mike? Because I think, that's a bit of an understatement, really. I think Danny Wadd's done miracles there.
Yeah.
If you look at the squad he's had and where they've come from and where they were predicted to finish. But this is perhaps the first time in his coaching career there where he's suffered adversity, and this is a tough run they've got coming up.
Yeah, I think they knew it was coming, this really long run of losses. They knew it's going to be tough at some point.
Yeah.
To get the wins they have against the clubs they have is obviously credit to them. But at some point they're going to have to pick up a win. I'm hoping as a Leeds fan it's not this week, and I hope it's not anytime soon. So I'm going to have to agree with you. I think Wakefield just edge it, because I know they've got their injuries, but they're so well coached. They're kind of like what Castleford were in previous years under Del Powell. No matter what the injuries, they could still put out a result. So yeah, I'm going Wakefield by 6 as well.
Well, we've got quite a super Saturday really in terms of fixtures. Warrington face Hull in the other 3 o'clock kick-off on Saturday, and Warrington were in some match against Wigan in the Challenge Cup, and for Hull they got a good win against your team, Castleford, and I think Hull, when they have everyone fit, perhaps outside St Helens and Warrington, maybe along with Catalans, are probably the greatest threat to win a major trophy this year, I feel. So if they go probably near enough with a full team to Warrington, do you think they can shock the Wolves?
Yeah. Because obviously Warrington had to put a massive effort in against Wigan and just come away with the win. Hull FC are a great side when they're on it, like you've said. Warrington are a bit hit and miss. They're not quite as good as St Helens, but they are better than everyone else. So if Hull put out the best side they can easily get the win, I think. I'm going to Hull for 4 there.
Ooh, a shock prediction. Now, when these two teams met earlier in the year, Warrington won by 60, so it's some turnaround.
Yeah.
So are you agreeing with Mike? Do you think Hull can go there and...
No, because obviously, as you mentioned, 60 points last time.
And
then the previous game, I think Warrington beat them 80 points to 10 as well.
Yeah.
So I think Hull have struggled against Warrington, but Warrington are the second best team in Super League for a reason. I think they've not been that consistent as of late, but the early performances in the season, Blake Austin's top try scorer with 16, he's done wonders there since coming from the Raiders, and I think Hull have had injuries, but I think they've coped well with it, bringing Gaz Ellis back. I think he's been really the catalyst to getting Hull back into the top area of Super League, bringing some leadership back to the club. I think Hull have done well. I just think they make too many errors for me going forward. I think they'll struggle against Warrington, but I can see the Wolves easily running it out by 16 points, at least 16.
We've got quite a differing view on a lot of these games. Last up, on Saturday is a 3:30 kick-off, and the event of the weekend really, as Catalans take on Wigan in what is perhaps been advertised as the Super Cup, being played at the Nou Camp. Challenge Cup winners against Super League winners Wigan. Now, we're expecting a Super League record crowd. There's going to be 100,000 seats there, and only 25,000, 30,000 of them filled. So that might not look very full, but it will break the Super League attendance record, we think. Will we have a game to match, and who are you tipping, Ethan?
I think it's going to be a very entertaining match. You've got Catalans, their home support is brilliant. I think Wigan, a couple of thousand travelling, I think they'll spur the boys on, and I think Wigan haven't particularly played well this season. As we've seen by the table, they sit 8th with 12 points. Not been attacking good, but they played really well against Warrington on Sunday. And Catalans played exceptional against Doncaster, but they struggled in part sometimes against the Dons. But I think it's too close to call really, but I think Catalans just have that edge over them. So I'm going to go Catalans by 8.
You agree, Mike?
I'm going high scoring game because no doubt it's going to be good weather. I'm actually going to go Catalans by 14.
Well, there you have it, guys. Some very interesting predictions this week from these two. Can you? Do you feel confident that you've got this? Or
Yeah, I feel I've got the edge over
I don't know.
Mike.
well,
This week?
last week Jason sat there very confident as Mike. Mike tipped Bradford. He tipped Hull KR. He tipped Halifax, but he came up with a good. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens, guys. Another big week of Super League fixtures. Let us know your predictions. Subscribe, like, and let us know in the comments.